Hello everyone, it's Angie here at Beads and Plenty More. Today I thought I'd talk about novelty necklaces. So this is a necklace worth a bead that maybe makes you smile when you're in the store, and it's creating it into a necklace with dangles on a chain. And I've got a matching set of earrings here for my little mushroom necklace. So I've pulled some elephants here. I thought we'd do elephants on this one. And on my mushroom sample, I had a Rolo chain, but this time I've grabbed a Figaro chain. So that's got a large link and a small link. This is a Rolo chain, so it's got the links interchanging. And then I've got 6mm jump rings. I've got 2mm beads, and we'll talk about those. I've got a lobster clasp, and I've got thin head pins. And that's partly why we want the 2mm beads, because they have really fine tips on them. This is a 24 gauge wire basically. And because the tip is fine, sometimes you have to put a little bead on to keep your large bead from pulling through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a wrapped loop, and I'm using my round nose pliers to do that. So I'm going to grab right above my top bead here, and I'm going to fold it over. So that's the first step. Now, I'm going to turn this so you can see it, but I would probably hold the plier going the other direction. So I'm going to set my pliers where I want to put my next loop. So this is where I'm going to come around to make that next loop. It's going to come around. Now, the other barrel's in the way. I can't get it across, so I'm going to have to shift my pliers. So I'm going to put my pliers back in, and I'm going to work it so that I've got my circle all the way around. Now once I've got that, and it's the size I want and everything, I could hook it directly into the chain here. I'm going to use a jump ring as well, just to give it a little more flexibility, but you could at this point hook it through the chain and all the way into that loop. But I'm going to hold across it with my needle nose pliers, and this is where I'm going to put the wraps in. So I'm pulling my tail end a little bit to get my wraps to wrap nice and tight. There we go, got my wraps. And now if I just grab my wire cutters, I can come in. Now when you cut with wire cutters, you want to cut with the flat side up against your work. That gets you a nice flat, flush cut. So once I've got that, we will just tuck my tail end in. Now if you're having trouble getting the tail end to tuck in like I am, I'm just going to take a second set of pliers. I'm going to hold my loop, and with my first set I can just kind of maneuver it until that tail end's tucked in. So there's my wrapped loop, and now to hook them onto my chain, let's match my two ends up here on the chain, and we'll find the center. So it looks like my center is this guy right here. So now if I take a jump ring, when I'm opening jump rings, I want to hold with my pliers pointing my tips away from me, or if I've got the jump ring sitting flat, I've got the tips pointed away, because if I hold like this, I don't have a very good hold on my jump ring. Whereas if I hold with my pliers out like that, I've got a really good hold on the jump ring. And again, with the second set, I can come in and maneuver it to open it. So we'll just hook this, come in, and close it up. And I don't know if the camera microphone caught that little snap, but when you hear that snap, you know you've got it closed. Now, I need to figure out where to put the next one. And one thing I want to watch is that they're all hanging off the bottom side of my chain here. I think we'll put the next one over here. So of course with jump rings you could just hang charms off. You don't have to have beaded charms necessarily. Sometimes jump rings work just fine, and sometimes you just have to have a bit of patience. Okay, so I'd counted 1, 2 links in between of the large links, and then the third one, so 1, 2. So if you're ever having trouble getting a jump ring to close, what you can do, let me see if I can get this to show you from the top here, is you can wiggle back and forth. So I've taken it past where it needs to go, and it'll eventually snap shut. Each time I'm taking it past, I'm going to push in a little bit, and that way when it finally does snap shut, it's pressurized, so it's going to hold itself closed. So we'll just get the other 2 in here. I like to work in odd numbers. That's just a aesthetic thing. When you do flower arrangements and stuff like that, you often do work in odd numbers. It's just more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. But that's not saying that you can't break the rules anytime you want to either. But on your neck, you'll have one that sits centered, that everything kind of builds off from each side. So put the last one over here. There we go. And when it comes to putting a clasp on, I've got my lobster clasp here, and I can just use another ring to attach it. And this necklace doesn't have a front and back side. Sometimes you have to think about which side to put the lobster clasp on because you've got a definite front side on your beads, and you want to think about which hand they're going to use to close it and open and close your clasp when you're putting your necklace on and off. Now this chain, they can just hook into the large links, so I don't have to put anything on the other side. And if they ever want to wear it shorter, they can just hook it down here. Now that does put the clasp a little bit off center in the back, but not enough that it really matters usually. So that's my necklace, and I hope you enjoyed that, and you have a good day.